The war that echoes, now they whisper, humanity and fear, Doctor. Alan Ward stared at the signal patterns on his screen. For the 6th night in a row, he had barely slept. The patterns were clear now. They were not random cosmic noise. They were messages from beyond our solar system, structured and deliberate. He rubbed his tired eyes and took another sip of cold coffee. Captain Lewis needs to see this, he muttered, gathering his notes. The NASA facility buzzed with activity despite the late hour. Ever since the first signals had been detected 3 weeks ago, the entire exobiology division had been working around the clock. Dr. Ward walked quickly through the corridors, nodding at colleagues who looked as exhausted as he felt. Captain Samantha Lewis was already in the conference room when he arrived. Her uniform was crisp despite the late hour, her posture military straight. As commander of the UES Horizon, Earth's most advanced diplomatic vessel, she had been summoned as soon as the signals were confirmed. "Please tell me you've made progress." "Doctor," she said. Dr. Ward spread his notes across the table. "It's a language, Captain. Complex but decipherable. Their mathematical sequences helped us create a translation matrix." "And?" she asked, leaning forward. "They call themselves the Vircathan Dominion. They've detected our radio signals and deep space probes. They're suggesting a meeting." Admiral William Carter joined them, his face grave. "Are they friendly?" Dr. Ward hesitated. "Their messages contain no threats. They seem curious. Their technology is clearly advanced if they can communicate across this distance. The meeting location they suggest is near Neptune's orbit." "That's well within our reach," Captain Lewis noted. "The UES Horizon was built for this moment," Admiral Carter said. "The first diplomatic contact with an alien civilization. History in the making." 3 weeks later, the UES Horizon prepared to depart. Earth's finest diplomatic vessel gleamed in the orbital shipyard. Its hull was adorned with symbols of peace from Earth's many cultures. Captain Lewis stood on the bridge, watching her crew make final preparations. Greg Peters, her chief communications officer, approached with a tablet. "Final communications check complete, Captain." "We can transmit and receive in the formats Dr. Ward decoded." "Excellent," Captain Lewis said. "And Dr. Ward?" "In the xenobiology lab, Captain. Still studying their cultural information." Captain Lewis nodded. "This mission will define humanity's place in the universe, Greg. Let's make sure we get it right." The journey to the meeting point took 17 days. The crew spent the time studying everything they knew about the Vircathan. Dr. Ward became a familiar sight on the bridge, explaining alien customs and protocols to the officers. "Their society seems based on strict hierarchy and honor," he explained during one briefing. "Status is everything to them." Captain Lewis listened carefully. "Any taboos we should avoid?" Dr. Ward shook his head. "Nothing obvious in the messages we've received. But remember, we've only decoded basic communication. Cultural nuances are harder to translate." As the UES Horizon approached Neptune's orbit, sensors detected the alien vessel. It was massive, easily 5 times the size of Earth's ship. Its hull shimmered with a strange metallic surface that seemed to change color as they watched. "Open a channel?" "Mr. Peters," ordered Captain Lewis, straightening her uniform. The main screen flickered to life. The aliens appeared humanoid but with gray skin that had a slight blue tint. Their eyes were large, with vertical pupils. Bony ridges extended from their foreheads to the back of their heads. Captain Lewis stepped forward. "I am Captain Samantha Lewis of the United Earthship Horizon. On behalf of humanity, we extend greetings and friendship." The alien in the center of the screen made a gesture with 4-fingered hands. Their translator converted its speech to English. "I am Overlord Kazvir of the Vircathan Dominion. We acknowledge your presence." The conversation progressed carefully, with both sides exchanging basic information. After an hour, they agreed to a face-to-face meeting on a shuttle between the two ships. Dr. Ward joined Captain Lewis and a small team for the meeting. As they prepared to board the shuttle, he offered last-minute advice. "Remember, they value status and formality. Be respectful but confident. Show no weakness," Captain Lewis nodded. "Understood, Doctor." The meeting took place in a specially prepared chamber on the shuttle. The air was tested and confirmed safe for both species. The humans entered first, arranging themselves according to rank as Dr. Ward had suggested. The Vircathan delegation arrived minutes later. Their leader, Overlord Kazavir, stood tall and imposing. Captain Lewis stepped forward following diplomatic protocol. "Overlord Kazavir, we are honored by this historic meeting. She extended her hand in greeting, a human gesture of peace and friendship. The chamber went silent. The Virkathan delegation stiffened. Overlord Casimvir's eyes narrowed to slits. "You dare?" he hissed, his translator barely keeping up with his sudden anger. "You dare present an open palm to an overlord?" Dr. Ward stepped forward quickly. "We intend no offense. This is a human greeting, but it was too late." The Virkathan leader made a sharp gesture. Hidden weapons appeared in the hands of his guards. "Deception! Dishonor!" Casimvir shouted. "You mock our customs while pretending ignorance." Captain Lewis raised her hands. "Please, there's been a misunderstanding. The first energy blast struck Dr. Ward in the chest. He collapsed without a sound. Captain Lewis barely had time to shout a warning before the chamber erupted in weapons fire. "Back to the ship," she ordered, dragging one of her wounded officers toward the exit. Greg Peters helped her, firing his sidearm to provide cover. Of the 8 humans who had entered the chamber, only 4 made it back to their shuttle. Captain Lewis took the controls, her hands steady despite the chaos. "UES Horizon, this is Captain Lewis. We are under attack. Prepare for emergency docking." The shuttle raced back toward the human ship. Behind them, the Virkathan vessel was powering up its weapons. "What happened, Captain?" Admiral Carter's voice came through the communication system. "First contact failed. They interpreted something as an insult." She glanced back at Dr. Ward's empty seat, grief tightening her throat. "Dr. Ward is dead." The UES Horizon barely had time to receive the shuttle before the first alien blast struck its hull. Captain Lewis rushed to the bridge, taking command as emergency alarms blared throughout the ship. "Evasive maneuvers. Get us out of here." The human ship was no match for the alien vessel. Energy beams tore through its defensive shields, ripping huge sections of the hull into space. Systems failed across the ship. "We can't take another hit like that," reported the tactical officer, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. Captain Lewis made the hardest decision of her career. Abandon ship. All hands to escape pods. As the crew rushed to evacuate, Captain Lewis recorded a final message to Earth. "First contact with the Virkathan Dominion has failed. A cultural misunderstanding led to violence. They are technologically superior and hostile. Prepare for war. This is Captain Samantha Lewis of the UES Horizon. God help us all." She transmitted the message on all frequencies before joining the last group in an escape pod. From the small viewport, she watched as the magnificent diplomatic vessel, humanity's pride, broke apart under alien fire. In the darkness of space, the escape pods scattered, their occupants hoping to avoid detection long enough for rescue. Captain Lewis stared at the stars, the weight of what had happened crushing down on her. A simple human gesture had triggered what might become an interstellar war. "They didn't even warn us," Greg Peters whispered beside her. "No chance to apologize or explain." "They don't want explanations," Captain Lewis replied, her voice hollow. "They want war." As the escape pod drifted through space, Earth remained unaware of the approaching storm. Soon billions of lives would be caught in a conflict born from a single extended hand. The war that would echo across the galaxy had begun. The war that echoes. Now they whisper humanity in fear. The emergency lights in the hospital room cast a red glow over Captain Samantha Lewis as she struggled to sit up in her bed. 3 weeks had passed since her rescue from the escape pod. 3 weeks since the destruction of the UES Horizon. 3 weeks since humanity learned they were not alone in the universe, and that their first neighbors wanted them dead. "You shouldn't be moving yet," said Dr. Eric Daniels from the doorway. The military strategist carried a tablet and wore a grim expression that had become all too common on Earth. "I can't lie here while they're out there killing our people," Captain Lewis replied. Her ribs still ached from the injuries sustained during the escape, but the physical pain was nothing compared to the weight of responsibility she carried. Dr. Daniels pulled up a chair beside her bed. "The Virkathan launched their first major attack yesterday. They hit the Mars colonies without warning." Captain Lewis closed her eyes, imagining the red planet's domed cities cracking open to the harsh Martian atmosphere. Casualties? Over 20,000. They're not discriminating between military and civilian targets. A nurse entered, checking Captain Lewis's vital signs before leaving them alone again. Outside the window, military vehicles rushed past. Earth was mobilizing for war. "Director Nelson wants to see you," Dr. Daniels said. "The Defense Council is meeting in 1 hour. They need your first-hand account of the Veer Cathan. Director Patricia Nelson ran the Earth's Unified Defense Council from an underground facility beneath what was once the United Nations building. Her office was sparse, functional, with screens showing real-time updates from across the solar system. Most of the news was bad. Captain Lewis, Director Nelson said, rising from her desk. I'm glad you're well enough to join us. We need every advantage we can get. Captain Lewis nodded, taking a seat at the conference table where several military leaders had gathered. I wish I had better insights to offer, Director. Our contact was brief. Brief but informative, said Dr. Daniels, who had accompanied her. We know they value hierarchy and consider certain gestures deeply offensive. We know their technology surpasses ours, and we know they attack without warning or mercy. Director Nelson activated a holographic display showing the solar system. Red markers indicated confirmed Veer Cathan positions. There were dozens. They've established a blockade between Earth and Mars, she explained. Our colonies on the moons of Jupiter and Saturn have gone silent. We believe they've been destroyed. A young lieutenant entered the room, whispering something to one of the generals before leaving. The general stood, his face pale. They've just hit our lunar base. No survivors reported. The room fell silent. The lunar base had been home to over 50,000 people. We need time, Dr. Daniels said, breaking the silence. Time to adapt our technology to understand their weaknesses. We don't have time, snapped Director Nelson. At this rate, they'll reach Earth within weeks. Captain Lewis studied the holographic display. We need to slow them down. Hit them where they don't expect it. The meeting continued for hours. Strategies proposed and rejected. Casualty estimates growing more grim with each scenario. By the end, they had cobbled together a desperate defense plan. It wasn't much, but it was all they had. 1 month later, Lieutenant Kate Rogers sat in the cockpit of her fighter, one of 30 hidden among the debris field that had once been an orbital station. Around her, the remains of human infrastructure floated in the vacuum, providing cover for the ambush they had planned. All wings, maintain radio silence, she whispered into her comm. They're coming. The Veer Cathan patrol ships moved with arrogant confidence, not bothering to scan for threats. Why would they? Human resistance had been crushed at every encounter so far. Lieutenant Rogers watched her targeting computer as the alien vessels moved into position. Her finger hovered over the firing control. Now, she ordered. 30 fighters emerged from hiding, launching specialized missiles Dr. Daniels had helped design. The weapons didn't target the alien ships directly. Instead, they detonated in coordinated patterns around them, creating an electromagnetic pulse tailored to the frequency of Veer Cathan shield technology. The alien ships faltered, their shields flickering. Second wave, go, Lieutenant Rogers called. Another group of fighters appeared, firing conventional weapons at the now vulnerable ships. For the first time since the war began, human weapons tore through alien hulls. 3 of the 5 Veer Cathan vessels exploded in silent bursts of light and debris. The remaining 2 attempted to retreat but were quickly disabled. Boarding teams, move in, Lieutenant Rogers ordered. Let's see what we can learn from them. The victory was small but significant. Humanity had proven the aliens weren't invincible. Captain Lewis received the news in the war room beneath New York City. Lieutenant Rogers reports successful capture of Veer Cathan technology and 2 prisoners, reported Director Nelson. It's not much, but it's something. Dr. Daniels was already reviewing the preliminary data from the captured ships. Their shield frequency can be disrupted. We can work with that, Captain Lewis nodded. Mass-produce the EMP weapons. Distribute them to all remaining forces. Director Nelson's expression remained grave. It won't be enough to win the war. No, agreed Captain Lewis. But it might buy us the time we need. Across Earth, cities were being evacuated. Their populations moved to underground shelters. Industry had been completely converted to military production. Schools had become training centers. Hospitals expanded to prepare for mass casualties. Humanity was preparing for the fight of its existence. In a lab deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Daniels worked with engineers to reverse engineer the captured alien technology. Captain Lewis often visited, watching their progress. Their materials are unlike anything we've seen, Dr. Daniels explained during one visit. But the principles are understandable. Given enough time, we can adapt some of their technology to our use. Time is the one thing we don't have, Captain Lewis reminded him. News arrived daily of Veer Cathan attacks moving closer to Earth. The outer colonies were gone. Mars had fallen completely. The asteroid belt mining operations, once the source of Earth's resource wealth, were in enemy hands. Director Nelson established what she called the Bulwark, Earth's last line of defense. Every surviving ship, every weapon, every soldier was pulled back to protect the homeworld. Lieutenant Rogers, now promoted to commander after her successful mission, led training for new pilots. Her tactics were being taught to everyone who could fly. They expect us to fight conventionally, she told her students. They expect us to lose. Our advantage is that we know we're outmatched, so we fight dirty. 6 months into the war, Earth detected a massive Virkathan fleet entering the inner solar system. This was not a patrol or a raiding party. This was an invasion force. In the war room, Captain Lewis stood with Director Nelson and the remaining military leadership. The holographic display showed the approaching armada. There were hundreds of ships. This is it, Director Nelson said quietly. Everything we have goes into this defense. Dr. Daniels arrived with his team, carrying new weapons and shield modifications. We've integrated what we learned. Our ships have been upgraded, but we haven't had time to test everything. Captain Lewis looked around the room at the tired, determined faces. Humanity has always adapted to survive. It's what we do best. The Virkathan think they know what we're capable of. They're wrong. Commander Rogers joined them, having just arrived from the orbital defense platform. My pilots are ready, Captain. We'll hit them with everything we've got. Director Nelson placed her hand on a console, activating a global communication system. Her voice would reach every shelter, every military base, every surviving human settlement. People of Earth, the enemy approaches. They believe we are defeated already. They believe we will surrender or die. They do not understand humanity. We have faced extinction before. We have faced superior forces before, and we have survived. Today we fight not just for our lives, but for our right to exist in this universe. Stand with us. Fight with us. Show them what humanity truly is. As the Virkathan fleet approached Earth's orbit, humanity prepared for its darkest hour. But in labs and workshops around the world, human ingenuity continued to work, adapting and improving. The first wave of the war had been devastating. The second wave would show the aliens that humanity would not go quietly into the night. The war that echoes. Now they whisper humanity and fear 3 years passed since the first Virkathan attack on Earth. The planet's surface bore deep scars from orbital bombardments. Once great cities lay in ruins. But beneath the rubble, inside mountain fortresses and in hidden underwater bases, humanity survived. They did more than survive. They learned. They adapted. They evolved. Dr. Paul Wright hunched over a dismantled alien device in his laboratory deep inside the Himalayan mountains. His fingers, calloused from years of work, carefully separated the crystalline power core from its housing. Around him, a team of scientists watched in silence. Careful, he whispered, mostly to himself, just like the last one. With a soft click, the power core detached. The room filled with quiet applause. This was their 12th successful extraction. Each core provided enough energy to power a small city for a year, or more importantly, to fuel the new weapons humanity was developing. Get this to Jack Morrison immediately, Dr. Wright said, placing the glowing crystal in a specialized container. His team is waiting for it. 500 miles away in an underground facility beneath what was once Chicago, Jack Morrison received the power core with barely contained excitement. The former civilian engineer had become humanity's most innovative weapons designer. Perfect timing, he said to the courier. We're ready for the final test. Jack's workshop was filled with strange hybrid devices. Human technology merged with adapted alien components. His latest creation sat on a central table, a cylinder no larger than a soda can. Is that it? Asked General Lisa Howard, who had arrived to witness the test. Once a junior officer, she now commanded all of Earth's military forces. It's smaller than I expected, Jack smiled. Size isn't everything, General. This contains 10 million microscopic drones, each programmed to target specific components in Virkathan ship systems. We call it a stealth swarm. And their shields can't stop it? The drones are too small to trigger shield sensors. By the time they're detected, they'll already be inside, disabling the ship from within. General Howard studied the device with newfound respect. How many can you make? With this new power core? Hundreds. Jack held up the container from Dr. Wright. Their technology is becoming our greatest weapon. High above Earth, the last battle of the defensive war was ending. Commander Ryan Phillips led his Special Forces unit nicknamed Spectre Team through the corridors of a captured Vir Cathan vessel. Alarms blared around them. "Move quickly," Commander Phillips ordered through his helmet comm. "We have 10 minutes before their reinforcements arrive." The team had boarded the alien command ship using technology reverse-engineered from previous captures. Their mission was simple but crucial: steal the command codes and tactical plans of the Vir Cathan fleet. "Command center ahead," reported one of his soldiers. "Heavy resistance." Commander Phillips readied his weapon. "Remember your training. They expect direct assault. We do the unexpected." Instead of attacking the command center's main entrance, Spectre Team split up. Half created a diversion at the front doors, while Commander Phillips led the others through maintenance ducts they had identified from previous ship layouts. The Vir Cathan never varied their designs, a weakness humanity had learned to exploit. Within minutes, they had secured the command center. The alien officers were taken by surprise, not expecting humans to emerge from service tunnels. "Download everything," Commander Phillips ordered, as his team connected devices to the alien computers. "We need their fleet positions, supply lines, and communication codes." One of his soldiers pointed to a secured terminal. "Sir, this looks different." "Higher security protocols." Commander Phillips examined it. "That's our primary target. Get it open." As the soldier worked on bypassing the security, an alarm on Commander Phillips's suit indicated incoming ships. Reinforcements arriving early. "Hurry!" The terminal finally opened, revealing star charts and data unlike anything they had seen before. The soldier plugged in their extraction device, copying everything. "Got it," he announced seconds later. "Fall back to the ship," Commander Phillips ordered. Mission accomplished. Spectre Team fought their way back to their boarding craft, losing 2 soldiers in the process. As they detached from the Vir Cathan vessel, enemy fire rocked their small ship. "Shields holding," reported the pilot. "Barely." Commander Phillips clutched the data device. "Get us home." This could change everything. In the war room beneath the ruins of Geneva, Admiral Samantha Lewis, formerly Captain Lewis of the UES Horizon, studied the intelligence recovered by Spectre Team. Dr. Eric Daniels stood beside her, his face showing the first genuine smile she had seen in years. "This is incredible," he said. "Not just their fleet positions, but their supply chains, their communication protocols, even maps of their territory beyond our solar system." Admiral Lewis zoomed in on a section of the star chart. "They're stretched thin, fighting on multiple fronts." "We're not their only problem," agreed Dr. Daniels. "Look at these reports. Several subject species are rebelling. The Vir Cathan Dominion is facing internal pressures." General Howard joined them, reviewing the data. "We need to change our strategy. Stop hitting their warships and start hitting their supply lines. Cut off their resources." Admiral Lewis nodded slowly. "For 3 years we've been playing defense, barely surviving. Maybe it's time we show them what humanity can really do." The next months brought a shift in the war. Human forces, using their new understanding of Vir Cathan tactics and weaknesses, began targeting supply ships instead of military vessels. Jack Morrison's stealth swarms proved devastatingly effective, disabling alien technology from within. Dr. Wright's team continued adapting more advanced weapons. The Vir Cathan, accustomed to enemies who fought according to predictable patterns of honor and direct engagement, struggled against human guerrilla tactics. Their war council meeting in their fleet flagship could not understand the change. "These humans fight without honor," complained one Vir Cathan commander. "They avoid direct confrontation. They target support vessels instead of facing our warships." The Vir Cathan Supreme Commander Kazvek silenced him with a gesture. "They fight to survive, not for glory. It makes them dangerous in ways we did not anticipate." "Are they worthy adversaries, then?" asked another. Kazvek contemplated this. "They are vermin who have learned to bite. But even vermin can be dangerous in sufficient numbers." On Earth, planning for the first major counteroffensive was underway. Operation Thunderstrike would target 3 key Vir Cathan supply stations simultaneously. If successful, it would cripple their ability to maintain their blockade of Earth. Admiral Lewis stood before the combined military leadership. "For too long, we've been fighting for survival. Today we begin fighting to win." General Howard outlined the attack plan. 3 strike forces hitting simultaneously. Commander Phillips's Spectre Team will infiltrate the command station, while our main forces engage their defenses. Jack Morrison's stealth swarms will disable their communications, Dr. Daniels added. Based on psychological analysis of their command structure, the Virkathan are not prepared for a coordinated human offensive. They believe us incapable of such organization after the damage we've sustained. Their mistake, Admiral Lewis said firmly. Operation Thunderstrike launched 2 weeks later. For the first time since the war began, human ships left Earth's defensive perimeter in force. The Virkathan, caught by surprise at the sudden aggression, scrambled to respond. From his position on the lead assault ship, Commander Phillips watched as the first Virkathan supply station came into view. All teams commence attack. Remember, this isn't about destroying them, it's about showing them we can. Across the solar system, 2 other human fleets engaged in similar battles. The coordination, something the aliens thought impossible given humanity's damaged communication infrastructure, threw the Virkathan into confusion. In the aftermath, as human ships returned to Earth, Admiral Lewis received the reports. All 3 targets had been hit successfully. Virkathan supply lines were in disarray. This is just the beginning, she told her officers. Now we show them who they're really fighting. The Virkathan Supreme Commander received news of the coordinated attack with growing concern. Perhaps these humans were more than vermin after all. Perhaps they were something the Dominion had not faced before. Something unpredictable, something dangerous. For the first time in the war, the Virkathan began to whisper the word humanity, not with contempt, but with caution. The war that echoes. Now they whisper humanity in fear. The bridge of the UES Defiance hummed with activity as Admiral Samantha Lewis studied the holographic display. 5 years had passed since first contact. 3 months had passed since Operation Thunderstrike had changed the course of the war. Now humanity was pushing beyond the solar system for the first time. All ships report ready, Admiral, said her communications officer. Admiral Lewis nodded. Signal the fleet. We launch in 30 minutes. The fleet was unlike anything Earth had produced before. 20 large warships formed its core, each a hybrid of human engineering and adapted Virkathan technology. Surrounding them were hundreds of smaller vessels, fighters, and support craft. This was no longer a desperate defense force. This was the spear of humanity, aimed at the heart of their enemy. Dr. Eric Daniels joined her on the bridge. His role had changed over the years. He now headed the Alien Psychology Division, dedicated to understanding how the Virkathan thought and predicted their responses. The latest psychological profile is complete, he reported. The Virkathan leadership is experiencing something they've never faced before. Which is? Admiral Lewis asked, fear of shame. Their entire culture revolves around victory and domination. The possibility of losing to a species they considered inferior threatens their core identity. Admiral Lewis considered this. Can we use that against them? Dr. Daniels smiled grimly. We already are. Every successful attack deepens their crisis. Their command structure is becoming increasingly unstable as blame shifts between factions. The door to the bridge opened, and Lauren Ellis entered. Once a junior diplomatic officer, she now led humanity's efforts to find allies among other species subjugated by the Virkathan. Admiral, we've received confirmation from the Tressian refugees. They're willing to provide star charts for 3 more Virkathan-controlled systems. Good work, Admiral Lewis replied. Have they agreed to meet with Colonel Foster's Liberation Force? Lauren nodded. They're cautious but hopeful. If we can free their homeworld, they believe other enslaved species will join us. The Tressians had been the first alien species humans had encountered besides the Virkathan. Small in stature with 4 arms and skin that shifted colors with their emotions. They had been conquered by the Dominion centuries ago. A group of refugees had made contact with human scouts 3 months earlier, offering information in exchange for help. Admiral Lewis turned back to the holographic display. It's time. All ships prepare for faster-than-light jump. The human fleet vanished in flashes of light, leaving Earth's solar system behind. Their destination was a star system 40 light-years away, home to a major Virkathan supply hub. According to Tressian intelligence, it was lightly defended, considered too far from Earth to be at risk. Colonel Ben Foster led the ground assault team. His shuttle approached the surface of Tressian Prime, a lush world that had been the homeworld of the Tressians before the Virkathan turned it into a resource extraction colony. Remember, he told his soldiers, this isn't just about destroying Virkathan forces. It's about liberation. The Tressians need to see us as different from their oppressors. The battle was swift and decisive. The Virkathan garrison, unprepared for a human attack so far from Earth, fell quickly to Colonel Foster's forces. Within hours, the main city was secured. Tressian civilians emerged from hiding, their skin shifting from fearful gray to hopeful blue as they realized what was happening. Colonel Foster ordered his troops to distribute food and medical supplies. "Tell them they're free," he instructed his translators. "Tell them the Virkathan will not return to this world." On the orbital station above Tressian Prime, Lauren Ellis met with the Tressian elders. Years of diplomatic training had not prepared her for negotiating with a truly alien species, but she adapted quickly. "Humanity seeks allies, not subjects," she explained through translators. "We fight the Virkathan because they attacked us, but we've learned they've done the same to many worlds." The Tressian leader, his skin now a deep purple of formal authority, responded cautiously. "Your kind fights differently than any species we have observed. You adapt. You use the enemy's strengths against them. Even the Virkathan speak of humans with new words now." "What words?" Lauren asked. "They call you the unpredictable ones. It is not a compliment, but it carries fear." Lauren smiled. "Fear is a start. Will your people join us?" The Tressian Council conferred briefly before their leader answered.
"We will join you."
"And we will contact others who suffer under the Dominion, the Calrax, the Vorten Collective, others who watch and wait." News of the Alliance spread quickly through subspace communications. Other subjugated species, watching the Virkathan struggle against human tactics, began their own rebellions. The Dominion, which had stood unchallenged for millennia, found itself fighting on multiple fronts. In the command chamber of the Virkathan Emperor's fortress ship, Supreme Commander Kazvek delivered his report. "Great One, the human infestation spreads. They have taken 3 of our outer systems and allied with the Tressian vermin. Rebellions have broken out in 12 more sectors." The Emperor, a massive figure whose bony crest extended twice as far as any other Virkathan, growled in anger. How can a primitive species that could barely leave their own planet 6 years ago now threaten the Dominion? Kazvek hesitated before answering. "They do not fight according to the ancient ways, Great One. They adapt our technology. They strike where we are weak rather than challenging our strength. They form alliances with lesser beings. They fight without honor," the Emperor said. "Yes, Great One, but they fight effectively." The Emperor rose from his throne. "Recall our border fleets, protect our core worlds, and send the Death Heralds to this human homeworld. Let us end this irritation permanently." Admiral Lewis received the intelligence report with mixed emotions. The Virkathan were withdrawing forces from conquered territories, creating opportunities for liberation forces led by Colonel Foster. But the reason for the withdrawal was troubling. "They're sending their elite forces to Earth," Dr. Daniels explained. "The Death Heralds. According to Tressian records, they're planet killers. How much time do we have?" asked General Howard via holographic communication from Earth. 2 months at most, Admiral Lewis replied. "We need to accelerate our timetable." "The new defense grid isn't ready," General Howard warned. "And half our fleet is with you in Dominion space." Admiral Lewis studied the strategic display. "Then we need to prevent them from reaching Earth at all. If we can't defend, we attack." "Attack what?" asked Dr. Daniels, the source. "We take the fight to them, their homeworld." The plan was audacious. While Colonel Foster continued liberating conquered worlds and building the Alliance, Admiral Lewis would lead the main fleet in a direct assault on the Virkathan throne world. Corvash. If they could capture or kill the Emperor, the rigid hierarchy of the Dominion might collapse. Lauren Ellis expanded her diplomatic efforts, bringing more species into the Alliance. Each new ally provided knowledge, resources, and in some cases, fighting forces. The coalition of the oppressed grew daily. "We need to coordinate our messaging," she told Admiral Lewis. "Every liberated world needs to hear the same story. Humanity came not to conquer but to free." Admiral Lewis agreed. "Make sure they understand this isn't just Earth's war anymore. It's a fight for freedom throughout this part of the galaxy." As preparations for the assault on Corvash continued, a Virkathan science vessel was captured near the edge of former Dominion space. Among its crew was a senior researcher named Corvash who, unlike his comrades, surrendered without resistance. "I wish to defect," he told his human captors. "The Dominion has lost its way. I can help you end this war." Admiral Lewis personally interrogated the defector. Why should we trust you? Kirvash's vertical pupils narrowed. Because I know the Emperor's greatest secret. I know the flaw in the Dominion that you can exploit. What flaw? The continuity protocol. The system that has kept the Dominion stable for thousands of years. Destroy it and the Empire collapses. Dr. Daniels, present for the interrogation, leaned forward. What exactly is this protocol? Kirvash explained. All authority flows from the Emperor through designated successors. If communication with higher authority is lost, all Virkathan warriors are programmed to await new orders rather than act independently. It prevents rebellion but creates a critical vulnerability. Admiral Lewis understood immediately. Cut off the head and the body freezes. Precisely, said Kirvash. I can show you how to target the central communication hub on Korvash. As the human fleet regrouped for what might be the final battle of the war, Admiral Lewis addressed her officers. 6 years ago, they came to our home and tried to destroy us. They expected an easy victory. Instead, they found humanity. Now we take the fight to their home, not for revenge, but to end this war and free countless worlds from their dominion. Across the galaxy, species that had lived in fear for generations watched as humans, the newcomers, did what none had dared. They challenged the Virkathan not with matching strength, but with adaptation, unpredictability, and a willingness to form alliances rather than seek dominance. And throughout Dominion space, Virkathan commanders whispered the word humanity with growing dread. The war that echoes. Now they whisper humanity in fear. 10 years had passed since the destruction of the UES horizon. 10 years since humanity learned they were not alone in the universe. 10 years of adaptation, innovation, and desperate fighting. Now, as the combined fleet of the Coalition approached the Virkathan homeworld of Korvash, Grand Admiral Samantha Lewis stood on the bridge of the flagship Redemption, watching the final preparations for battle. All Coalition forces report ready, Grand Admiral, said her executive officer. The fleet was no longer just human ships. Vessels of 6 different alien species flew alongside Earth's warships. The Tressians with their nimble fighters, the massive Calrax dreadnoughts, the Vorton scout ships, all united against their common oppressor. Prime Minister Owen Mitchell's hologram appeared on the command deck. Once a junior diplomat, he now led the human government in exile, coordinating between Earth and the liberated worlds. Grand Admiral, the Coalition Council has approved your battle plan, he said, but they insist on one final peace offering before the attack begins. Grand Admiral Lewis nodded. The Coalition had agreed from the beginning that their goal was not the destruction of the Virkathan, but the end of their dominion over other species. I'll make the transmission myself. The communication system activated, sending a message directly to the Virkathan Emperor. Grand Admiral Lewis stood tall as the camera recorded. Emperor of the Virkathan Dominion, I am Grand Admiral Samantha Lewis of Earth, speaking on behalf of the Galactic Coalition. We offer you one final opportunity to end this war peacefully. Withdraw your forces from all occupied worlds. Recognize the sovereignty of all species. Do these things and we will not attack your homeworld. The response came within minutes. The Emperor's massive form filled the screen. His vertical pupils narrowed to slits. Humans, you have violated the natural order. Lesser beings exist to serve the Dominion. There will be no surrender. When this battle ends, your species will be erased from memory. Grand Admiral Lewis had expected nothing less. All ships prepare for battle. Fleet Commander Wells, you have tactical command. Fleet Commander Diana Wells had earned her position through dozens of successful engagements against Virkathan forces. Her understanding of space combat tactics was unmatched in the Coalition. All ships form Assault Pattern Omega, she ordered. First wave, prepare to engage planetary defenses. Kirvash, the Virkathan defector who had provided crucial intelligence about the enemy homeworld, stood nearby, watching as the battle plan he had helped create unfolded. The orbital defense grid will target your largest vessels first, he advised. Their tactical doctrine never changes. Fleet Commander Wells nodded. That's counting on. The first wave of Coalition ships surged forward, led by empty drone vessels disguised to appear as command ships. As Kirvash had predicted, the Virkathan defenses concentrated their fire on these decoys, while the actual attack force approached from multiple vectors. Planetary shields at 80%, reported the tactical officer. Targeting their power distribution nodes now. On the surface of Korvash, the Virkathan Emperor watched with growing concern as the battle unfolded in ways their strategists had not anticipated. The humans and their allies used tactics no other species had ever conceived, attacking in patterns that seemed chaotic but were precisely coordinated. Their main fleet approaches from the southern hemisphere, reported Supreme Commander Kazvek. We have positioned our reserves to intercept. And their secondary attack force? Asked the Emperor. There is no secondary force, Great One. Our sensors detect nothing else. The Emperor's instincts, honed over centuries of warfare, told him otherwise. They are hiding something. The humans always hide something. His suspicion proved correct. As the main battle raged in space, a small stealth vessel approached the planet from its third moon. Aboard was Commander Ryan Phillips and his Spectre team, along with the defector Kirvash. Approaching drop point, whispered the pilot. Planetary sensors haven't detected us. Commander Phillips checked his team's equipment one final time. Their mission was the most crucial of the entire war. While the fleet engaged the Virkathan forces in space, Spectre team would infiltrate the Emperor's fortress and disable the continuity protocol hub, severing the command structure of the entire Dominion. Remember, Commander Phillips told his team, this isn't about killing the Emperor. It's about capturing him alive and shutting down their command system. Kirvash added, the psychological impact of seeing their Emperor defeated will be devastating to all Virkathan. Their entire culture is built on the belief in his invincibility. The stealth ship landed in a remote area of the capital city. Using Virkathan security codes provided by Kirvash, Spectre team moved through the streets undetected, approaching the massive fortress at the city's center. In orbit, the battle reached its peak intensity. Fleet Commander Wells had drawn the majority of the Virkathan fleet into a massive engagement near the planet's equator. Coalition ships fought with desperate courage, taking heavy losses but inflicting even greater damage on the enemy. Grand Admiral. Spectre team reports they've reached the fortress, reported the communications officer. Grand Admiral Lewis nodded. Tell Commander Phillips he has 1 hour. After that, we'll have to withdraw the fleet. Inside the Emperor's fortress, Spectre team encountered heavy resistance. The inner sanctum was guarded by the Emperor's elite warriors, each equivalent to 10 ordinary soldiers. Commander Phillips lost 3 team members in the initial exchange of fire. We need to reach the central chamber, Kirvash urged. The continuity protocol hub is there with the Emperor. Commander Phillips signaled his remaining team. New plan. Jones Rivera create a diversion in the east corridor. The rest of us will take the maintenance shaft Kirvash identified. As the sounds of battle echoed from the east wing, Commander Phillips led the main team through narrow maintenance tunnels. The Virkathan, with their rigid thinking, never expected an attack through such an undignified route. They emerged in the antechamber to the throne room, surprising the guards from behind. After a brief but intense firefight, the path to the Emperor stood open. The massive doors to the throne room slid apart. The Virkathan Emperor rose from his seat, towering over even his own guards. Beside him stood the Continuity Protocol Hub, a glowing pillar of crystalline technology. Humans, the Emperor growled. You dare enter my inner sanctum? Commander Phillips stepped forward. In the name of the Galactic Coalition, you are ordered to surrender. The Emperor laughed, a harsh sound. I do not surrender to lesser beings. He activated a personal shield and drew a ceremonial weapon. 2 of Commander Phillips's team fell to the Emperor's first attack. The remaining humans opened fire, but their weapons couldn't penetrate the shield. Kirvash moved toward the Continuity Protocol hub. Keep him distracted. I need time to override the system. The battle in the throne room was brutal and swift. The Emperor, despite his massive size, moved with surprising speed. Commander Phillips found himself the last human standing, facing the ruler of the most powerful empire the galaxy had known. Your species fights without honor, the Emperor said. Advancing on Commander Phillips, we fight to win, Phillips replied, backing toward the continuity hub where Kirvash worked frantically on the controls. In orbit, Grand Admiral Lewis received dire news. Our forward line is breaking, Admiral. We can't hold much longer. Fleet Commander Wells's voice came through, strained but determined. Give Spectre team more time. We'll hold. Inside the throne room, Kirvash shouted in triumph. It's done. The continuity protocol is offline. Throughout the Virkathan fleet, command systems suddenly went silent. Warships stopped in mid-maneuver, waiting for instructions that would never come. The rigid hierarchy that had been their strength became their greatest weakness. The Emperor roared in fury. Lunging at Kirvosh, Commander Phillips intercepted him, the two crashing to the floor in a desperate struggle. The Emperor's superior strength was overwhelming, but Phillips fought with the determination of his entire species behind him. Coalition forces pressed the attack, ordered Fleet Commander Wells, seeing the Virkathan fleet's sudden disarray. "Their command structure is down." In the throne room, Commander Phillips managed to disable the Emperor's shield generator. The moment it failed, the rest of Spectre team rushed in, having fought their way back after creating the diversion. Together they subdued the Emperor of the Virkathan Dominion. "The unthinkable has happened," Kirvosh said, staring at the captured Emperor. "In all our history, no Emperor has ever been taken alive." Grand Admiral Lewis received the news on the bridge of the Redemption. "Spectre team has the Emperor. The continuity protocol is offline. The Virkathan fleet is standing down." Prime Minister Mitchell's hologram appeared again. "Then it's time for the final phase. Open a channel to all Virkathan forces." The broadcast went out across the entire Dominion. The image showed the captured Emperor, surrounded by human soldiers in Kirvosh. "Attention all Virkathan," Prime Minister Mitchell began. "Your Emperor has been captured. Your command structure is disabled. This war is over."